United Kingdom culture. The culture of the United Kingdom has been influenced by many factors including the nation's island status, its history as a Western liberal democracy and a major power, as well as being a political union of 4 countries with each preserving elements of distinctive traditions, customs and symbolism. As a result of the British Empire, British influence can be observed in the language, culture and legal systems of many of its former colonies including Australia, Canada, India, Ireland, New Zealand, Pakistan, South Africa and the United States. The substantial cultural influence of the United Kingdom has led it to be described as a cultural superpower. A global opinion poll for the BBC saw the United Kingdom ranked the 3rd most positively viewed nation in the world, behind Germany and Canada, in 2013 and 2014. Literature. British literature refers to literature associated with the United Kingdom, the Isle of Man and the Channel Islands. Most British literature is in the English language. In 2005, some 206,000 books were published in the United Kingdom and in 2006 it was the largest publisher of books in the world. The English playwright and poet William Shakespeare is widely regarded as the greatest dramatist of all time, and his contemporaries Christopher Marlowe and Ben Jonson have also been held in continuous high esteem. More recently the playwrights Alan Ayckbourn, Harold Pinter, Michael Frayn, Tom Stoppard and David Edgar have combined elements of surrealism, realism and radicalism. Notable pre-modern and early modern English writers include Geoffrey Chaucer, 14th century, Thomas Malory, 15th century, Sir Thomas More, 16th century, John Bunyan, 17th century, and John Milton, 17th century. In the 18th century Daniel Defoe, author of Robinson Crusoe, and Samuel Richardson were pioneers of the modern novel. In the 19th century there followed further innovation by Jane Austen, the Gothic novelist Mary Shelley, the children's writer Lewis Carroll, the Bronte sisters, the social campaigner Charles Dickens, the naturalist Thomas Hardy, the realist George Eliot, the visionary poet William Blake and romantic poet William Wordsworth. 20th century English writers include the science fiction novelist H.G. Wells, the writers of children's classics Rudyard Kipling, A. Milne, the creator of Winnie the Pooh, Roald Dahl and Enid Blyton, the controversial D.H. Lawrence, the modernist Virginia Woolf, the satirist Evelyn Waugh, the prophetic novelist George Orwell, the popular novelists W. Somerset Maugham and Graham Greene, the crime writer Agatha Christie, the best-selling novelist of all time, Ian Fleming, the creator of James Bond, the poets T.S. Eliot, Philip Larkin and Ted Hughes, the fantasy writers J.R.R. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis and J.K. Rowling, the graphic novelists Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman. Scotland's contributions include the detective writer Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes, romantic literature by Sir Walter Scott, the children's writer J. M. Barrie, the epic adventures of Robert Louis Stevenson and the celebrated poet Robert Burns. More recently the modernist and nationalist Hugh MacDiarmid and Neil Lungun contributed to the Scottish Renaissance. A more grim outlook is found in Ian Rankin's stories and the psychological horror comedy of Ian Banks. Scotland's capital, Edinburgh, was UNESCO's first worldwide city of literature. Britain's oldest known poem, A Gá Dóibhín, was composed in Yr Hen Ogold, the Old North, most likely in the late 6th century. It was written in Cumbric or Old Welsh and contains the earliest known reference to King Arthur. From around the 7th century, the connection between Wales and the Old North was lost, and the focus of Welsh language culture shifted to Wales, where Arthurian legend was further developed by Geoffrey of Monmouth. Wales's most celebrated medieval poet, Dafydd ap Gwilym, FL. 1320–1370, composed poetry on themes including nature, religion and especially love. He is widely regarded as one of the greatest European poets of his age. Until the late 19th century the majority of Welsh literature was in Welsh and much of the prose was religious in character. Daniel Owen is credited as the first Welsh-language novelist, publishing Rhys Lewis in 1885. The best known of the Anglo-Welsh poets are both Thomases. Dylan Thomas became famous on both sides of the Atlantic in the mid-20th century. He is remembered for his poetry. His Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night, Rage Against the Dying of the Light is one of the most quoted couplets of English-language verse, and for his play for voices, Under Milk Wood. The influential Church in Wales poet, priest and Welsh nationalist R.S. Thomas was nominated for the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1996. Leading Welsh novelists of the 20th century include Richard Llewellyn and Kate Roberts. Authors of other nationalities, particularly from Commonwealth countries, the Republic of Ireland and the United States, have lived and worked in the UK. Significant examples through the centuries include Jonathan Swift, Oscar Wilde, Bram Stoker, George Bernard Shaw, Joseph Conrad, T.S. Eliot, Ezra Pound and, more recently, British authors born abroad such as Kazuo Ishiguro and Sir Salman Rushdie. Music. Various styles of music are popular in the UK, from the indigenous folk music of England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland to heavy metal. Notable composers of classical music from the United Kingdom and the countries that preceded it include William Byrd, Henry Purcell, Sir Edward Elgar, Gustav Holst, Sir Arthur Sullivan, most famous for working with the librettist Sir W.S. Gilbert, Ralph Vaughan Williams and Benjamin Britten, pioneer of modern British opera. Sir Harrison Birtwistle is one of the foremost living composers. The UK is also home to world-renowned symphonic orchestras and choruses such as the BBC Symphony Orchestra and the London Symphony Chorus. Notable conductors include Sir Simon Rattle, Sir John Barbaroli, and Sir Malcolm Sargent. Some of the notable film score composers include John Barry, Clint Mansell, Mike Oldfield, John Powell, Craig Armstrong, David Arnold, John Murphy, Monty Norman and Harry Gregson Williams. George Frederick Handel became a naturalized British citizen and wrote the British coronation anthem, while some of his best works, such as Messiah, were written in the English language. Andrew Lloyd Webber is a prolific composer of musical theatre. His works have dominated London's West End since the late 20th century and have also been a commercial success worldwide. The Beatles have international sales of over 1 billion units and are the biggest selling and most influential band in the history of popular music. Other prominent British contributors to have influenced popular music over the last 50 years include the Rolling Stones, Pink Floyd, Queen, Led Zeppelin, the Bee Gees, and Elton John, all of whom have worldwide record sales of 200 million or more. The Brit Awards are the BPI's annual music awards, and some of the British recipients of the Outstanding Contribution to Music Award include The Who, David Bowie, Eric Clapton, Rod Stewart, and The Police. More recent UK music acts that have had international success include Coldplay, Radiohead, Oasis, Arctic Monkeys, Spice Girls, Robbie Williams, Amy Winehouse and Adele. A number of UK cities are known for their music. Acts from Liverpool have had 54 UK chart #1 hit singles, more per capita than any other city worldwide. Glasgow's contribution to music was recognised in 2008 when it was named a UNESCO City of Music, one of only 3 cities in the world to have this honour. As of 2016, pop remains the most popular music genre in the UK with 33.4% of unit sales, followed by hip-hop and R&B at 24.5% of unit sales. Rock is not far behind at 22.6% of unit sales. The modern UK is known to produce some of the most prominent world rappers along with the United States, including Stormzy, Kano, Young Bane, Ramps, and Skepta. The sharp increase of hip-hop and R&B listeners in the UK in the last 3 years is often explained by an easier access to the genre due to the higher usage of streaming platforms such as Spotify and SoundCloud, where hip-hop and R&B is the most popular genre, and also by the rising of new hip-hop and R&B subgenres popular among the millennials and the Generation Z, post-millennials, mainly developed in the US with artists popular in the UK, such as Funk Rap, e.g. A$AP Rocky, Lil Uzi Vert, Chance the Rapper, Lil Skies, and alternative R&B, e.g. The Weeknd, Beyoncé, Janelle Monáe, SZA. Visual art. The history of British visual art forms part of Western art history. Major British artists include the Romantics William Blake, John Constable, Samuel Palmer and J.M.W. Turner, the portrait painters Sir Joshua Reynolds and Lucian Freud, the landscape artists Thomas Gainsborough and L.S. Lowry, the pioneer of the arts and crafts movement William Morris, the figurative painter Francis Bacon, the pop artists Peter Blake, Richard Hamilton and David Hockney, the pioneers of conceptual art movement Art and Language, the collaborative duo Gilbert and George, the abstract artist Howard Hodgkin, and the sculptors Anthony Gormley, Anish Kapoor, and Henry Moore. During the late 1980s and 1990s, the Saatchi Gallery in London helped to bring to public attention a group of multi-genre artists who would become known as the Young British Artists: Damien Hirst, Chris O'Philly, Rachel Whiteread, Tracy Emin, Mark Wallinger, Steve McQueen, Sam Taylorwood and the Chapman brothers are among the better-known members of this loosely affiliated movement. The Royal Academy in London is a key organisation for the promotion of the visual arts in the United Kingdom. Major schools of art in the UK include the six-school University of the Arts London, which includes the Central St Martin's College of Art and Design and Chelsea College of Art and Design, Goldsmiths, University of London, the Slade School of Fine Art, part of University College London, the Glasgow School of Art, the Royal College of Art, and the Ruskin School of Drawing and Fine Art, part of the University of Oxford. The Courtauld Institute of Art is a leading centre for the teaching of the history of art. Important art galleries in the United Kingdom include the National Gallery, National Portrait Gallery, Tate Britain and Tate Modern, the most visited modern art gallery in the world, with around 4.7 million visitors per year. Cinema. The United Kingdom has had a considerable influence on the history of the cinema. The British directors Alfred Hitchcock, whose film Vertigo is considered by some critics as the best film of all time, and David Lean are among the most critically acclaimed of all time. Other important directors including Charlie Chaplin, Michael Powell, Carol Reed, Edgar Wright, Christopher Nolan, and Ridley Scott. Many British actors have achieved international fame and critical success, including Julie Andrews, Richard Burton, Michael Caine, Colin Firth, Gary Oldman, Ben Kingsley, Ian McKellen, Liam Neeson, Charlie Chaplin, Sean Connery, Vivien Leigh, David Niven, Laurence Olivier, Peter Sellers, Kate Winslet, Anthony Hopkins, and Daniel Day-Lewis. Some of the most commercially successful films of all time have been produced in the United Kingdom, including two of the highest-grossing film franchises, Harry Potter and James Bond. Ealing Studios has a claim to being the oldest continuously working film studio in the world. Despite a history of important and successful productions, the industry has often been characterized by a debate about its identity and the level of American and European influence. British producers are active in international co-productions and British actors, directors and crew feature regularly in American films. Many successful Hollywood films have been based on British people, stories or events, including Titanic, The Lord of the Rings, and Pirates of the Caribbean. In 2009, British films grossed around $2 billion worldwide and achieved a market share of around 7% globally and 17% in the United Kingdom. UK box office takings totaled £944 million in 2009, with around 173 million admissions. The British Film Institute has produced a poll ranking of what it considers to be the 100 greatest British films of all time, the BFI Top 100 British Films. The annual British Academy Film Awards are hosted by the British Academy of Film and Television Arts. Cuisine. British cuisine developed from various influences reflective of its land, settlements, arrivals of new settlers and immigrants, trade and colonialism. Celtic agriculture and animal breeding produced a wide variety of foodstuffs for indigenous Celts and Britons. Anglo-Saxon England developed meat and savoury herb stewing techniques before the practice became common in Europe. The Norman conquest introduced exotic spices into England in the Middle Ages. The British Empire facilitated a knowledge of Indian cuisine with its strong, penetrating spices and herbs. British cuisine has absorbed the cultural influence of those who have settled in Britain, producing many hybrid dishes, such as the Anglo-Indian chicken tikka masala. Media. The BBC, founded in 1922, is the UK's publicly funded radio, television and internet broadcasting corporation, and is the oldest and largest broadcaster in the world. It operates numerous television and radio stations in the UK and abroad, and its domestic services are funded by the television licence. Other major players in the UK media include ITV plc, which operates 11 of the 15 regional television broadcasters that make up the ITV network, and News Corporation, which owns a number of national newspapers through News International, such as the most popular tabloid The Sun and the longest established daily broadsheet The Times, as well as holding a large stake in satellite broadcaster British Sky Broadcasting. London dominates the media sector in the UK. National newspapers and television and radio are largely based there, although Manchester is also a significant national media centre. Edinburgh and Glasgow, and Cardiff, are important centres of newspaper and broadcasting production in Scotland and Wales respectively. The UK publishing sector, including books, directories and databases, journals, magazines and business media, newspapers and news agencies, has a combined turnover of around £20 billion and employs around 167,000 people. In 2009, it was estimated that individuals viewed a mean of 3.75 hours of television per day and 2.81 hours of radio. In that year, the main BBC public service broadcasting channels accounted for an estimated 28.4% of all television viewing. The three main independent channels accounted for 29.5% and the increasingly important other satellite and digital channels for the remaining 42.1%. Sales of newspapers have fallen since the 1970s, and in 2010 41% of people reported reading a daily national newspaper. In 2010, 82.5% of the UK population were internet users, the highest proportion amongst the 20 countries with the largest total number of users in that year. Philosophy. The United Kingdom is famous for the tradition of British empiricism, a branch of the philosophy of knowledge that states that only knowledge verified by experience is valid, and Scottish philosophy, sometimes referred to as the Scottish School of Common Sense. The most famous philosophers of British empiricism are John Locke, George Berkeley and David Hume, while Dugald Stewart, Thomas Reid and William Hamilton were major exponents of the Scottish Common Sense school. Two Britons are also notable for a theory of moral philosophy, utilitarianism, first used by Jeremy Bentham and later by John Stuart Mill in his short work Utilitarianism. Other eminent philosophers from the UK and the states and countries that preceded it include Duns Scotus, John Lilburne, Mary Wollstonecraft, Sir Francis Bacon, Adam Smith, Thomas Hobbes, William of Ockham, Bertrand Russell and A.J. Freire. Foreign-born philosophers who settled in the UK include Isaiah Berlin, Karl Marx, Karl Popper, and Ludwig Wittgenstein. Sport. Major sports, including association football, tennis, rugby union, rugby league, golf, boxing, netball, rowing and cricket, originated or were substantially developed in the UK and the states that preceded it. With the rules and codes of many modern sports invented and codified in late 19th century Victorian Britain, in 2012, the president of the IOC, Jacques Rogge, stated, "This great, sports-loving country is widely recognized as the birthplace of modern sport. It was here that the concepts of sportsmanship and fair play were first codified into clear rules and regulations. It was here that sport was included as an educational tool in the school curriculum." In most international competitions, separate teams represent England, Scotland, and Wales. Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland usually field a single team representing all of Ireland, with notable exceptions being association football and the Commonwealth Games. In sporting contexts, the English, Scottish, Welsh and Irish, Northern Irish teams are often referred to collectively as the home nations. There are some sports in which a single team represents the whole of United Kingdom, including the Olympics, where the UK is represented by the Great Britain team. The 1908, 1948 and 2012 Summer Olympics were held in London, making it the first city to host the Games 3 times. Britain has participated in every modern Olympic Games to date and is third in the medal count. A 2003 poll found that football is the most popular sport in the United Kingdom. England is recognized by FIFA as the birthplace of club football, and the Football Association is the oldest of its kind, with the rules of football first drafted in 1863 by Ebenezer Cobb Morley. Each of the home nations has its own football association, national team and league system. The English top division, the Premier League, is the most watched football league in the world. The first international football match was contested by England and Scotland on November 30, 1872. England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland usually compete as separate countries in international competitions. In 2003, rugby union was ranked the second most popular sport in the UK. The sport was created in Rugby School, Warwickshire, and the first rugby international took place on March 27, 1871 between England and Scotland. England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, France and Italy compete in the Six Nations Championship, the premier international tournament in the Northern Hemisphere. Sport governing bodies in England, Scotland, Wales and Ireland organize and regulate the game separately. Cricket was invented in England, and its laws were established by Marylebone Cricket Club in 1788. The England cricket team, controlled by the England and Wales Cricket Board, and the Irish cricket team, controlled by Cricket Ireland, are the only national teams in the UK with Test status. Team members are drawn from the main county sides, and include both English and Welsh players. Cricket is distinct from football and rugby, where Wales and England field separate national teams, although Wales had fielded its own team in the past. Irish and Scottish players have played for England because neither Scotland nor Ireland have Test status and have only recently started to play in one-day internationals, and Ireland is yet to play their first Test match. Scotland, England, and Wales, and Ireland, including Northern Ireland, have competed at the Cricket World Cup, with England reaching the finals on 3 occasions. There is a professional league championship in which clubs representing 17 English counties and 1 Welsh county compete. The modern game of tennis originated in Birmingham, England, in the 1860s, before spreading around the world. The world's oldest tennis tournament, the Wimbledon Championships, first occurred in 1877, and today the event takes place over 2 weeks in late June and early July. Thoroughbred racing, which originated under Charles II of England as the sport of kings, is popular throughout the UK with world-famous races including the Grand National, the Epsom Derby, Royal Ascot and the Cheltenham National Hunt Festival, including the Cheltenham Gold Cup. The UK has proved successful in the international sporting arena in rowing. The UK is closely associated with motorsport. Many teams and drivers in Formula 1, F1, are based in the UK, and the country has won more drivers and constructors titles than any other. The UK hosted the first F1 Grand Prix in 1950 at Silverstone, the current location of the British Grand Prix held each year in July. The UK hosts legs of the Grand Prix Motorcycle Racing, World Rally Championship and FIA World Endurance Championship. The premier national auto racing event is the British Touring Car Championship. Motorcycle road racing has a long tradition with races such as the Isle of Man TT and the Northwest 200. Golf is the 6th most popular sport, by participation, in the UK. Although the Royal and Ancient Golf Club of St Andrews in Scotland is the sport's home course, the world's oldest golf course is actually Musselburgh Links Old Golf Course. In 1764, the standard 18-hole golf course was created at St Andrews when members modified the course from 22 to 18 holes. The oldest golf tournament in the world, and the first major championship in golf, the Open Championship, is played annually on the weekend of the 3rd Friday in July. Rugby league originated in Huddersfield, West Yorkshire in 1895 and is generally played in northern England. A single Great Britain Lions team had competed in the Rugby League World Cup and Test match games, but this changed in 2008 when England, Scotland and Ireland competed as separate nations. Great Britain is still retained as the full national team. Super League is the highest level of professional rugby league in the UK and Europe. It consists of 11 teams from Northern England, 1 from London, 1 from Wales and 1 from France. The Queensbury Rules, the Code of General Rules in boxing, was named after John Douglas, 9th Marquess of Queensbury in 1867, and formed the basis of modern boxing. Snooker is another of the UK's popular sporting exports, with the World Championships held annually in Sheffield. In Northern Ireland, Gaelic football and hurling are popular team sports, both in terms of participation and spectating, and Irish expatriates in the UK and the US also play them. Shinty, or Comanached, is popular in the Scottish Highlands. Highland Games are held in spring and summer in Scotland, celebrating Scottish and Celtic culture and heritage, especially that of the Scottish Highlands. Symbols. The flag of the United Kingdom is the Union flag, also referred to as the Union Jack. It was created in 1606 by the superimposition of the flag of England on the flag of Scotland and updated in 1801 with the addition of St. Patrick's flag. Wales is not represented in the Union flag, as Wales had been conquered and annexed to England prior to the formation of the United Kingdom. The possibility of redesigning the Union flag to include representation of Wales has not been completely ruled out. The national anthem of the United Kingdom is God Save the Queen, with Queen replaced with King in the lyrics whenever the monarch is a man. Britannia is a national personification of the United Kingdom, originating from Roman Britain. Britannia is symbolized as a young woman with brown or golden hair, wearing a Corinthian helmet and white robes. She holds Poseidon's 3-pronged trident and a shield, bearing the Union flag. Sometimes she is depicted as riding on the back of a lion. Since the height of the British Empire in late 19th century, Britannia has often been associated with British maritime dominance, as in the patriotic song Rule, Britannia. Up until 2008, the lion symbol was depicted behind Britannia on the British 50-pence coin and on the back of the British 10-pence coin. It is also used as a symbol on the non-ceremonial flag of the British Army. A second, less used, personification of the nation is the character John Bull. The bulldog is sometimes used as a symbol of the United Kingdom and has been associated with Winston Churchill's defiance of Nazi Germany.